So I am 2 years on testosterone, which is fantastic and exciting and kind of astonishing for me. I mean, you sort of get these ideas in your head, right, about what's gonna happen for you and what probably never will, and I didn't think this would ever happen. And here I am, and it's been a hell of a fucking ride. So I thought about just talking for 20 minutes the way I usually do about everything that's happened. But I thought it might be more interesting um, to pull together some video clips just starting from pre-testosterone working all the way up to now. Because I kind of sat and watched some of them when I realized, oh my gosh, I've been on testosterone for 2 years. Oh my god, things have changed a lot. So, yeah, I might be back at the end and do some tie-in thing. I'll see how long it ends up being. But enjoy.
So my name is Ash. I'm a genderqueer trans guy. I'm about to start my transition. That's not really true. I'm about to start my hormonal transition, which is why I'm finally getting around to setting up my own channel, and hopefully starting testosterone, assuming I can scrape together the money to pay for my hypothetical testosterone prescription, which I'm theoretically going to get from the endocrinologist on June 9th. Right, so this is my first post with my new hair all spiked up. It looks kind of like that. And that haircut is courtesy of my father. He shaved off the sides for me because I'm too broke to pay my usual stylist. This is also my first post on T. I started this morning. Body composition feels different to me, and my partner has commented on it as well, and I'll see if I can get him on the camera. Nope, other way. My muscle definition has not changed much, but I've got a bit more muscle mass in some areas before that I'd had a tough time really putting much on. And that, I think, is not something directly attributable to testosterone, at this point at least, but I have always had trouble keeping weight on. I just have a high metabolism and can't quite keep up with it appetite-wise. And that seems to have changed. It seems like I'm eating enough now that I can put on as much muscle as I ordinarily would, which I've always done quite efficiently when I'm working out a lot, and that brings my appetite up. But a lot is 12 to 15 hours a week for me, and as a grad student I just don't have the time. My overall body shape has changed a bit, just in terms of fat distribution. Like, I've never had trouble keeping really pretty well-defined abs, just doing other stuff, like, without really focusing on my abdominals, and I am having to focus on that area now, and then, like, all of my pants are falling off, because my hips and thighs have started to narrow quite a bit, which actually worries me, because I can't afford to buy a whole new wardrobe before school starts, but, I guess I don't know, invest in a good belt, right? Really just feeling a lot more confident in myself, in my body, which has been reflected in terms of social interactions and public stuff. I'm interested and excited to see how that reflects itself in spaces like the campus queer group and in the classroom where I'm teaching, because that has sometimes been, well, that's been my main challenge, really, in terms of speaking publicly and leading activities. The biggest thing I struggle with is being preoccupied and distracted with, God, how am I presenting? How are people reading me? How do I need or need not to respond to that? I am reading as male much more frequently. I am noticing a definite change in terms of facial hair and, like, chest hair and stuff. Not that it's like a man yet, it's kind of middle school boy peach fuzz, but it's something, baby steps. I do have to shave about every 24 hours to look well kept. My voice is continuing to do bizarre things. Today in particular I've been really hoarse and kind of bouncing up and down between low and scratchy and high and squeaky, which is a pain in the ass, but bodes well. So I'm up to 2 months on T now. I would say the biggest change over the last few weeks has been in my voice. It has not broken in a way where I've like dropped down into a male range and stayed there, but I definitely, especially the last week or so, I've been waking up in the morning and I'm like a baritone or bass, and everything is kind of hoarse and constricted in through here. It's been 2 weeks since my last post. My testosterone dose doubled a week ago, and I'm now up to a sort of low average dose for a trans guy. I just got back a letter on my second round of blood work from my endocrinologist, and the most relevant line is testosterone level in low male range, increased dose discussed, should be satisfactory. My testosterone level is about my serum testosterone level is about 10 times as high as it was originally. Continuing changes in my physique, and in fact, it's been taking me about a 3 to 4 week span to notice any change in photos. I'm taking photos as I go, and now, like, it's been 2 weeks and there's a noticeable difference in terms of muscle tone and definition. And I'm finally putting on and keeping on a decent amount of weight. I'm up about 12 pounds from pre-T, which is really exciting. Because I've always, like, 145, right, has always been my goal. I'm 5'9", that's not that much of a stretch. And I made it up to 142 once, very briefly. And, so yeah, no, it's within sight, I guess. The most pronounced change at this point has been to my voice. It's not any lower than it has been at its lowest over the course of my transition, but it's holding pretty stable here. I don't get to a point where it pops back up into a higher range. This is where it's at. It does sometimes drop a little lower than this, and it's definitely still breaking. I've gotten back some of my upper range that had gone away for a while. I can sing way up high in like a head voice, and when my vocal timbre is a little bit better than it is right now, I can sing in quite a low range, but I don't have any mixed range at all. It squeaks, and I have zero tonal control. It's a real pain in the ass. I know I'm supposed to act like a man, and I have a pretty good idea of what that means, but it is wearing. It gets just as old to never emote or smile at children or touch other people as it does to be expected to always emote and be thrilled to pieces by people's children and touch everyone who wants to touch you ever. You know, either extreme I think is a bit unhealthy. And then, like, my clothes, I've talked about the way my clothes fit from the very beginning here, but it's definitely, I'm past the point where all of my men's size small clothes fit me, and into the place where a lot of them don't fit me anymore, like, all of my sleeves kind of end here. But my mom did finally, about a week ago, ask me, how did she phrase it? She said, are you trying to become a man, I think is what she said. And I said, you know, it's a little more complicated than that. Like, for me, taking testosterone is much less about getting my body to conform to what it should for a particular gender identity than it is getting my body to be the way that I need it to be comfortable in it. And I know that sounds like hair splitting to a lot of people, but for me it's an important distinction, so I said that, and then I said I've kind of been saving up the fact that I'm an occasional smoker for just this sort of moment, because my parents don't know that about me either, and I said, and it's true, you know, I hadn't been eating right, and I had started smoking, because if I stay thinner I look less like a girl, and if my voice is lower I look less like a girl. And I felt really strongly that was unhealthy, and I didn't want to keep doing it, so I thought that testosterone was the best way to go. And after all of that, what my mom says is, you smoke. And it's just really, it's nice to have people expect the sort and amount of lived experience that I actually have, instead of reading me all of the time as a teenage boy. So that's been really actually quite positive for me. So this is my 8 months on T video, which is crazy. I mean, I can't believe it's been that long. I was actually walking across campus today, and it hit me that
this time a year ago, I was walking across campus, thinking about my endocrinologist appointment that was still like 3 months out and panicking about how long it was, and I didn't think I could wait. So, really, most of what I have to talk about is other people's responses to my transition. My family had not been speaking to me, and now they are, which is exciting news. I'm starting to get noticeably furry, like all the way up onto my upper arms here. I can grow a pretty respectable little goatee now. I choose not to, because A, I just don't dig facial hair that much, at least on me, and B, my parents are speaking to me again, and I'd kind of like to keep it that way. I have hair filling in all the way across my chest, all the way across my torso, a little bit on my shoulders and back, which is not the coolest. So I finally bit the bullet and switched to injectable. For purely financial reasons, I would have continued indefinitely on transdermal if I had that as an option. And depending on how things go with injectable, I may switch back when I'm in a better place financially. If injectable works and I don't have any problems with it, then, you know, it's like a tenth as expensive. Concurrently, my dosage has gone way, way up. Actually, I just said I'm John's oldest. Unless somebody said to me, "Oh, you're the oldest son," and I was like, yeah, I'm the oldest son, because I am, right? Which is strange in some ways, like that dynamic, because I am the oldest child, right? And I am his son, but in some ways I feel like I'm a younger son, or even the youngest son, because I really haven't been walking in the world as a man for all that long. And certainly my middle brother has been doing that longer than I have, and I would say that my youngest brother and I are more or less on a par in that regard. So I feel a little strange saying it. I feel a bit as if I'm usurping someone else's position, but also in some ways it's true. So quite a bit more facial hair. It's still real patchy, like across my cheeks. It's filled in quite a bit along my jawline, right underneath. I've got quite a bit on my upper lip, and then most of my chin. I kind of have little bald spots, like right up underneath my lip. Facial hair's not something I'm too fussed about. I do really like the look of like a 5 o'clock shadow, a little bit of scruff there, and it definitely affects my read. I read a lot more male now, and I read much more my age instead of like 14. I don't want to say everybody will grow into it that way and become completely comfortable with things that squicked them out at first, because I know it doesn't work that way for everybody. But for me, that's been very much the case. Almost everything that I worried about pre-testosterone has just been okay, or good. Alright, so I'm getting close to 2 years on testosterone. I'm actually still like a week out. But I don't know my work schedule, and I work in a bakery, which means that if I have enough facial hair to count as facial hair, I have to wear a beard guard in order to leave it on my face, and I'm just not really into that. So I thought I'd go ahead and make a quick little bit of video and just show you guys kind of how my facial hair is looking. And honestly, the resolution's low enough on this camera, it doesn't quite do it justice. I'm a little fuzzier than I look on screen, but I'll paste in a couple of photos if it seems important to me. Obviously I've shaved up in here. I can't really grow much of a mustache, and it's kind of like there are funny patchy areas in a couple of places. So right now I've just got the beard and of course my awesome sideburns. You can see there's still, you can't see it as much on this side, there's a little bit of a thin spot right in through here, a little bit of a thin spot right in through here, but it's definitely filling in, and it's filled in since the last time I grew my facial hair out, which was like 3.5 weeks ago. So yeah, it's coming right along. I'm sort of hoping by the time I go to queer camp that I can just like let it grow out and it'll be amazing. Alright y'all, so I think gonna try and do like a normal video and talk a little bit about stuff that's changed for me recently, because there have been some physical changes, as well as some in my personal life. But I think for this video, this is quite enough. I won't subject you all to any more of my rambling. And yeah, happy 2 years on testosterone to me.